We'll do a little meditation, give people a few time to get on, a little bit of time to get up on the line if anyone else is getting on. And, and then we'll get into the text. So I invite everybody to get comfortable. Take a few deep breaths in. And really feel the body. When you breathe in, breathe into the lower abdomen and feel the stomach rise, the chest rise. And feel your body just fill up. Hello, Julie. And then when you exhale, just relax. Just feel the body relax. We're not releasing a lot of meditations. Breathe in all the goodness and breathe out all the negativity. In Tibetan Buddhism, hello, Tracy. In Tibetan Buddhism, it's the other way around, okay? In Tibetan Buddhism, for example, you breathe in any negativity and you breathe out. You transmute it to love and you breathe out love and kindness to all beings. Now, I'm not saying let's do that, but what we can do is we can breathe in the love of the Creator and of nature. We can let it nourish our soul, heart, mind, energy, and matter. And then we can transmute with the exhale any negativity in the body and just change it to relaxation. So when we exhale, we are relaxing further, including the mind. The mind is relaxing. And we are breathing out that love and appreciation and peace. Because relaxation leads to peace. We're breathing that out into the field. So we'll take a few deep breaths, like 5 deep, slow breaths like that. Fill the lower abdomen, chest. Breathe out through the mouth like fast. Empty the lungs. In. Feel the cool air nourishing your being. Energy, breathing in energy. Exhale, steady pace. But make a noise and feel relaxation. Come over your body. Like you're blowing love and appreciation to all beings. Empty. Breathe in. Lower abdomen. Chest. Full being. Feel your body relax. Feel your mind relax coming into the body. Empty the lungs. Fully in. Stomach, chest, full being. Please forgive the external noise you can hear, but that's okay. Exhale. Any external noises that you can hear, that's totally fine. Just use them as mindfulness bells, okay, to bring us back into the moment. And now just relax, breathe naturally. And let anything that's not this moment go. We have the conscious mind that's thinking of all this. I need to focus here, I need to focus there. But there's a witness, okay? There's always a witness. You ever think about when you were younger and you've ever been drunk, or you've ever tried drugs, or you've ever done something where your consciousness is distorted, your conscious awareness is distorted, in my experience anyway, there's always a witness that is always present. It's as if that witness is never actually touched by the drugs or the alcohol until you get too intoxicated. I wrote about alcohol. There has been times where it's like that witness is gone when I was younger because there was just too much intoxication. But generally speaking, even if there's a psychedelic experience, there's always a witness that is witnessing the experience, even if it seems to be really full-on experience. So be the witness of your thoughts. Remember, the conscious mind is in the world. It's always in time. But the witness is always present. The witness is always out of time. Out of time and space. It's the observer. It's always now. And when we tap into that, we tap into the infinite potential of that. We tap into the Tao, okay? This is what this text is all about. One world is in the manifested world, even if they're thoughts and you can't see them. Every thought has a physical chemistry, a physical feeling to it. They're in the world, they're a yin-yang pair in the world, but the witness is from somewhere else. I'm going to offer a blessing to start with. So, without any attachments, make a request. From this witness awareness, you can either make a request for something you're aware that is needed in your life, or you can actually surrender the blessing and say whatever is needed. Put it on heaven, put it on the divine, wherever I need the blessing, because they know more than we do. Whenever Master Shah offers a blessing, I very rarely say, can I have it for, or can I have it for? I usually just say, heaven decides. We might think we need a shoulder, but the shoulder manifestation of pain might be something that's related to a past trauma, even from a past life. So if you surrender the blessing, and I'm not saying do that. If you want to get a blessing for your eye or a relationship, then do it. But if you surrender it, you could be getting a bigger blessing from somewhere else. Offer a calligraphy blessing from my Rendi Chen Dao Da Guang Ning He calligraphy. It means human beings, Mother Earth, heaven, Tao, greatest light join as one. So all the light of human beings, the earth, heaven, and Tao purest light, join as one. Okay, so just amplifying the light. Light heals everything, rejuvenates. So please offer appropriate healing blessing to everyone on the line. A few things we can cover tonight. We'll go over them after this blessing. So just surrender once you've made the request or you've put it to heaven, just surrender, okay? I got this calligraphy personally of Master Shah, when I had a one-on-one with him. So that's a very beautiful calligraphy to me. I'm very grateful I can offer a blessing with it. So blessing start. You, hey, you, hey, ya, hey, ya, you. 人的前道大光明合一 Feel the light of the Tao, the divine, heaven and earth, human beings, all joining as one within you, within your relationships, within your request. 人的前道大光明合一，人的前道大光明合一，合一。人的前道大光明合一，人的前道大光明合一，人的前道大光明合一，人的前道大光明合一。Feel the light of all humanities, including all enlightened beings. Their light. Mother Earth's light. The vastness of Mother Earth. The vastness of heaven, heaven's light. The vastness of Tao, Tao's light. Greatest light, the source's light, all joining as one and blessing you. Be grateful. Love and appreciation. 人的前道大光明合一，人的前道大光明合一，哎呀呦，哎呦，哎呦，哎呀呦，哎呀呦。人的前道大光明合一，人的前 Rendi Chen Dao Dao Wang Ming Hui, Rendi Chen Dao Dao Wang Ming Hui, Rendi Chen Dao Dao Wang Ming Hui, Rendi Chen Dao Dao Rendi Chen Rendi Chen Dao Dao Wang Ming Hui, 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 Rendi Chen Dao Dao. Everyone, deep breath in. As we exhale, feel all the light coming down, wherever it's come from, wherever you've seen it come from, and down and nourish your lower dantian. Okay, build a strong foundation, boost energy, stamina, vitality, immunity. Deep breath in. With love, we breathe in. Appreciation. See all that light coming down. Body's still filled with light, but we're pulling it down into the lower dantian, into the jindan. See the jindan growing. As it's a two-way cycle. As the jindan gets more brighter, it fills the body with more light. Okay. Deep breath in. Love. Breathe out. Appreciation. Channel the energy down to your lower dantian. Whatever feels comfortable. If it doesn't feel comfortable, that's totally fine. But if you're okay with it, always bow in appreciation to heaven, to the divine and Tao. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We don't say gong song, we haven't finished yet, so but we will invoke. So dear divine, dear Tao, dear Yawning. Yawning is all enlightened souls from all traditions. And Wanling. Wanling is all souls. Okay, all beings. Please forgive us for our mistakes in this life and past lives, consciously or unconsciously, and our families' mistakes, our ancestors' mistakes. We offer our unconditional forgiveness. We will serve more. Remember, to serve is to make others happier and healthier, empowered and enlightened, but it's also the key to contribution, and service is the key to true happiness for ourselves as well. So when we say things like, I commit to serving more, I used to do it myself, and I know people think, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to say I'm going to do too much, and I don't do it." That's okay, but just understand that with the more we help others, the less we think of ourselves, the happier we become. Okay, that is literally the universal laws and principles. You can't argue with that. The more you focus about yourself and ignore or don't think about others, the sadder you become, or the more depressed, anxious, and things like that. The universal law, we can't do anything about that. That's just the way it is. Okay. So from our heart, we say, how, thank you, thank you, thank you, love you, love you, love you. Before we go into the text, if anyone wants to share anything or ask any questions, we are recording. Please feel free.
Nick, it's Judy.
Hey, Judy.
While you were chanting, it felt like the vibration of your chanting was opening all the spaces in my body and loosening everything, so that the light that followed in, and it was like there wasn't a single source of light. It was like the light was surrounding me, and as the vibration opened the spaces, the light came through and went through all the spaces. And it felt very, the light was kind of flowing like waves through the spaces. And it just felt very opening, not so much cleansing, but just the opening with the light flowing through. So healing is the right word. Thank you so much. Thank you, Divine Tao Source.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, and all thank yous go to heaven, because it's truly that's whose blessing. I send all my love to everyone on the line, but I'm just a drop in the ocean. When you get blessings like this, it's pretty incredible what we receive. And I love the way you mentioned the word open so many times right then. You think about any type of blockage, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, a blockage is tightness, energy, or whatever cannot flow through. So the fact that you feel open is beautiful. So thanks for sharing. We all gain off people sharing. Does anyone else want to share anything, or should we get onto the text? Okay. Well, again, remember, everything is made of information, energy, and matter. So even every word, every sentence, every space between the words, every chapter carries its own information, energy, and matter. So we can allow this to nourish our field. So just close your eyes. Chapter 50. Breathe in the text. Let it nourish you. Breathe it out to the world. The master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings. He knows that he is going to die and has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind, no resistances in his body. He doesn't think about his actions. They flow from the core of his being. He holds nothing back from life. Therefore, he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. Beautiful chapter. The master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings. This is surrender. Again, Lao Tzu, in my understanding, like in the chapters from last week, he's trying to use the example of how the master lives for us to be able to imagine what it looks like to live in harmony with the Tao. There's no thinking mind there. Okay, the master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings. Story about the Buddha, actually. The Buddha, when he reached enlightenment, sat in samadhi, in meditation for 7 days, contemplating whether to even share what he'd attained, because he knew that it would be hard for people to grasp. And then he realized that if one person he enlightened, it was worth it. No matter if it took him the rest of his life, if he enlightened one person, then it was worth doing. It was worth trying. So then when he actually came out of his 7-day meditation, he didn't know how it was going to happen, how teaching was going to happen. And apparently as legend goes, he was just walking and the teaching happened. Somebody just came up to him and asked him a question. And in this chapter as well, in this text, he talks about how the master or the sage gives themselves fully to whatever is needed and then lets it go. So they're not trying to work out with the mind what to do, when to do it. They just, they give themselves up to whatever the moment brings. I did a podcast. I got interviewed about maybe 2 years ago now. And the subject was on manifestation. Okay. They wanted to ask me about how to manifest. And one thing I said in that podcast was, I suggest people try and manifest what they want purely because we're always manifesting. And most people have mastered the art of manifesting what they don't want, because we've mastered the art of thinking something we don't want, feeling that thought, feeling it in the body, and therefore magnetically drawing it in and experiencing more of what we don't want. We do that anyway. So if we're not in control of our mind, we may as well train our minds to consciously manifest what we do want. But I also said in that podcast, that interview, that when the Buddha or anyone who reaches enlightenment, there's no manifestation. They're not trying to create world peace. They're not doing these things. They are completely surrendered to God, to life, to the Tao. Whatever life presents, they accept it fully and they give everything to it, and then they drop it when it's gone. He knows that he is going to die, and he has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind, no resistances in his body. This is the teaching of impermanence. When you understand, we live in a society right now where people don't look at death. That's why me and Fletcher did a podcast on death. I think it's a very important subject. We act like we're never going to die, therefore completely waste the present moment. We don't look after ourselves. And when it comes, it's a shock and we don't know what to do. But if you know you're going to die, you know every moment is important. You don't waste anything. How many people live that way? And when they do die, they regret their life. You know, the Buddha said, why do what you regret? How simple is that? Why do what you regret? So no illusions in his mind, completely empty, completely free, no resistances in his body, not trying to cling on to this reality. Cool with it. He doesn't think about his actions. They flow from the core of his being. You know, when you talk about people who are in a flow state, whether they're athletes, whether they're climbers, artists, poets, they get in a state where there's a body-mind harmony, where the conscious mind is actually not thinking. Okay, the body's intelligence is all working in harmony. So he doesn't think about his actions. It is Shen Qi Jing Hui. Okay, it is soul, heart, mind, energy, and matter as one, joined as one. He holds nothing back from life. Okay, he lives life fully. Therefore, he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. There's a guy called Dandapani, and I heard him in an interview, and he was talking about his Guru Deva, his guru, and he said on his guru's deathbed, he said to Dandapani, he said, I would not have changed anything in the world. And then he died. And Dandapani said, how many people actually can say that on their deathbed? So he holds nothing back from life. Therefore, he is ready for death as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. When you've done a good day's work and you feel like you've contributed to the world or to the property or to whatever, and you go to bed, you sleep well. Okay, you've done your part for the day. And that's the same for our life. Our life goes like that. Beautiful chapter. Does anyone want to share anything on that? Excuse me.
Nick, not sharing, but do you have that to put on screen?
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not screen sharing, am I? There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. There you go. If anyone wants to screenshot it or... Does anyone have anything to share on that?
This is also from that book that I know you read. I read it years ago when my dad died, the Tibetan book of Living and Dying.
Yep.
This was also that, which was, I think it really helped me actually, that book.
So you read that years ago, did you, Julie?
Yeah, my dad died in 2005, May 2005. So, and someone gave it to me a couple of months after that, and I just sat down and read it. I thought it was fantastic.
The only reason I'm saying that is I had a good conversation with a friend the other day about spiritual text, and I was saying, like she said she'd read a book that I was talking about, and she read it. It was one of the first spiritual books that she'd ever read years ago. And I said, I'm a firm believer that no true spiritual text should only be read once. Because as we open up and understand more, the text will open up to us. And honestly, I think if you read that book again, Julie, it would blow your mind. It's beautiful.
Yeah, good point. That's a good point, because I do read books many times. I haven't read that one again because I read it because, you know, the circumstances. But yeah, good point. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, we'll keep moving. 51. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence, unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. You'll have to forgive this, there's some external noise where I am, but that's okay. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of things. It's an epic chapter. Every being in the universe and creation is an expression of the Tao. I think I shared this last week, but in Master Sha's book, Soul, Mind, Body, Science System, not Tao Science, one of his older, it's older than Tao Science. He said, because we are a manifestation of the whole, we possess the power of the manifested world. But because we are an expression of the Tao, we have a Yuanshan, we carry the power of the Wu world. We actually carry the power of the Wu world, which creates the whole manifested world. So, I mean, the logical mind can't even comprehend that. You know what? I'm sorry, I share a lot, but there's a beautiful story I heard in India. It was a while ago, so I'm not going to share it because I don't remember it fully. But I don't know whether it's Indian like mythology, I don't know, or if it's a real story, but an Indian lady told me it was beautiful. And she said, don't know whether it was like one army, let's say, they kidnapped like the emperor or the leader of another army, another part of India, who was a beautiful nobleman, who was a true master. And they locked him in a cell at the top of a mountain. And one of his disciples and devotees managed to sneak past the guards, climb up the mountain and get to him and to see what he needed fundamentally. As far as I remember, it was beautiful story. So many beautiful stories come out of India. And the master who was in prison said to the disciple, when you leave me now, you have to fly back. And the disciple never, ever considered the fact that he could fly, but just because of his faith in the master, he didn't even think about it. And he just jumped and he flew. His master always knew he could fly. And his master said, fly back and tell the people, whatever, this. And he just did with his faith in the master, in the guru, and he flew. And I always got goosebumps because I always think to myself, a true master always sees the potential in the student, but the students, that's the journey of the students. It's very hard for people to it's the same as the kids. We always see our kids' potential, but you know, whatever it is, it's hard for people to see their own potential. So every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence, unconscious, perfect, free, takes a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. He's talking about the Tao there, but can you imagine that's, in my opinion, how a true leader or a true parent or a true friend or a true member of society would act. Remember in earlier chapters, he said, the greatest leader, nobody knows. Okay. Next best is somebody who's loved. Next best is somebody who's feared. Next best is somebody who is despised. When the work is done, the people say, yay, we did it all by ourselves. Okay, the best leader is not known, that because they're aligned with the Tao. No one knows, can't point to it, can't see it, can't find the Tao, but it gives life and support to all things. So to be a good father, mother, friend, leader, you create without possessing. Okay, you act, you do things without expecting anything in return. Guiding without interfering. That's a very powerful one. Okay. You know, I know that some of you guys are in different groups, different communities, different, doing great work. And you've all seen it. I've seen it. The ego, human ego, is what brings down every great idea, every community, everything. It's the ego. So this is literally how to lead with the opposite of the ego. The ego possesses, okay, wants to control. It does expect things. Okay, if I do that for you, oh my gosh, they're getting all this credit, and that was my idea, and I put all the work in, and they're getting all this credit. So they're expecting something. It's not unconditional, it's conditional. Okay. And if I'm going to guide you guys, I'm going to show you what to do, then you're going to have to do what I say. You're going to have to, you know what I mean? They interfere too. So this is the opposite of the ego. It's the humble path. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of things. Okay, because it's our fundamental true nature. Does anyone have any questions or anything on that? No. Okay. Is this still resonating with people? Are people resonating with this text still, or has there been a few people? Yeah.
It's just so deep. It's something that you just have to sit and contemplate. It's not something that you can just take on board and then it has to go deep, I think, for me anyway. I think it's amazing.
I totally agree. I'm actually glad that there's, you know, I love questions. Don't get me wrong, questions guide the teaching. But I also love it when no one's got any questions and, you know, absorbing.
Yeah, Nick, it's Judy again.
Hello, Judy.
I'm talkative tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, that whole chapter relates very much to where I'm at the moment. There's been a couple of things happening with the group I belong to, but also I've joined a group on decluttering. You've seen my house, so you know that's needed. And what's coming up in that group is we're looking at the causes of why we're at where we're at. And I've been getting overwhelmed with all the realizations that are coming up about my childhood and the parenting I had. But what's getting to me is I thought I had dealt with and let go of so much to do with my parenting. And just reading this chapter, there were so many things that were missing. And what's coming up now is things I haven't thought of before. And it's really annoying me that I need to let go of so much more than I already have. So this chapter is very relevant, because the things that have been coming up have been the lack in all the areas that are mentioned in the chapter. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for sharing. And as you work through healing your past and going deeper with things that you thought you'd healed, it's like the Tao Te Ching says, in the pursuit of knowledge, every day something's acquired. And in the pursuit of the Tao, every day something is dropped. I just spoke about this before to Fletcher, actually. It's funny, this is like a paradox there, because you almost have to learn the wisdom, because wisdom's so important. Even in Buddhism, it's the highest thing. So we have to gain the wisdom to drop it. Okay, like I'm understanding more and more on just how, even when you're looking at healing the body, if you look at natural, it makes perfect sense that breathing, urine therapy, slapping the body, and these simple techniques is how we would heal ourselves, because it's simple. It's Dao Jurgen. It's the big way is extremely simple. Blessing our water, moving the body specific ways. So the simple way is the key. So I'm sharing this because as every day something's acquired in the pursuit of knowledge, in that way of living in the physical world, we accumulate stuff and then we attach to them. And then in the pursuit of Tao, we're not only dropping mindsets, we're dropping attachments. We actually get down to the point where we need nothing. And in fact, that's a Tibetan Buddhist practice. A Tibetan Buddhist practice is to chant a mantra, I need nothing. I need nothing. It's a very powerful practice, I've practiced that. I need nothing. It really dissolves many blockages. But as you work through those, Judy, I bet you can declutter your physical life so much easier, because you'll just be able to let go as you go. So, okay, we'll go to the next chapter. Chapter 52. In the beginning was the Tao. All things issue from it. All things return to it. To find the origin, trace back the manifestations. When you recognize the children and find the mother, you will be free of sorrow. If you close your mind in judgments and traffic with desires, your heart will be troubled. If you keep your mind from judging and aren't led by the senses, your heart will find peace. Seeing into darkness is clarity. Knowing how to yield is strength. Use your own light and return to the source of light. This is called practicing eternity. There's a lot in this chapter, deep chapter. So in the beginning was the Tao. This is Tao normal and reverse creation. Please forgive the background noise where I am. All things issue from, all things come from it. But in another chapter we've already gone over, he says, observe the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Okay, so everything comes from the Tao, and no matter how lost the phenomenal world seems to be, it is by its nature on its return back to the source. To find the origin, trace back the manifestations. Okay, so many people are, and I think it's intentional, but I think there's right now so many people are atheists, and atheism is a new thing. Okay, I was atheist for 2 years. I went down that road a little bit, and I just had too many questions that just couldn't get answered. And when you just go back to the simplicity of things, is we are experiencing some form of creation. Who created it? It's a very simple question. Okay, it's like a childlike question, but there's a creative force behind something. Nature follows a pattern. There's an intelligence there. So those simple questions. Trace back the manifestations to find the origin of life. This is meditation as well. When you recognize the children and find the mother, you will be free of sorrow. When you recognize the children of God, let's say, it's Jesus' teaching, he said the Father, okay? We're all sons and daughters of the Father. It's funny because in the Taoist teachings, Tao is very feminine in the way it doesn't resist things, it moves with life and so on and so forth. So it has been known as the Great Mother, the Tao, rather than the Father. Same, just same. But when you recognize the children and you find the mother, you'll be free of sorrow. Okay, you'll understand that everything has a purpose and everything's returning back to the Great Mother. If you close your mind in judgments and traffic with desires, your heart will be troubled. Min Shin Genshin. Okay, I keep repeating teachings. Min Shin Genshin. Enlighten your heart to see your true self. Why can't we see our true self? The tunnel of the heart is blocked with layers of desires and judgments and ego and attachments and negative mindsets. So your heart will always be troubled. If you keep your mind free from judging and aren't led by the senses, your heart will find peace. I think it was Joe Dispenza, give him his due. Joe Dispenza said, so many people are trying to detox from chocolate, alcohol, and all the rest of it. He said, do a 10-day detox from judging and complaining. Very powerful, okay? Because you got to remember that detoxing from alcohol, although it's good, and when your body's toxic with these things, then your emotional state's not very good. So they're not separate. They influence each other. The body influences the emotions and vice versa. But food, alcohol, and all the rest of it is still dense. It's a lower vibration. Okay, so in another sense, you can have people who have the best diet. Okay, they eat the purest foods, but at the same time, they stress a lot in work and they can still get sick because emotion is a higher vibration. We can't see it. Okay, and energy moves matter. Therefore, to give up judging, complaining, and in this case, when your mind is free from judging and aren't led by the senses, you're not, easily attached to things, your heart will find peace. Them type of detoxes will always be more beneficial than a physical detox. In fact, when you do that, you'll be more inclined to, you'll do a more productive fast or detox in the physical body. Seeing into darkness is clarity. Okay. Many meanings with this. Could mean physically. In chapter 1, he says, the manifested world and the unmanifested world still arise from the same source. That source is darkness, darkness within darkness. The gateway to true mystery or understanding. Many texts explain it differently. So it could mean seeing into the Tao, into the darkness with no fear. Okay, be able to stand in emptiness and not fear annihilation of the self. Okay, so that's one aspect. But seeing into darkness as clarity could also mean when we look at things as being our challenges, our blockages within a dark place, when we can look into that with no fear and understand the lesson it's given us, the interdependent nature of it, whether the mind has just labeled it as being a dark challenge and what it actually is in reality, that darkness will disperse into clarity. Okay, the strength that we get, that fear gets, is our fear of it. Knowing how to yield is strength. Okay, in the Zen tradition, they use the analogy of bamboo. Okay, bamboo can bend and bend in the strong winds, and then as soon as the wind stops, back up. Okay, because it's flexible. If you look at a strong, old, rigid, half-dead tree, and Lao Tzu's going to talk about this in later chapters, and its snow falls on the branch, well, when that weight gets too heavy, what happens? Snaps. But a young, flexible branch, okay, will gain all this snow on it, and it will bend, and the snow will fall off, and then it'll come back. So knowing how to yield is strength. And this goes for us. Most of our problems are rigid mindsets. It's not just the physical body. I'm going to share a video in the group chat. I've been going over yesterday and the day before a bit more of, I was really into for a while, Master Xiao, is a Paida Lajin. Are you familiar with Paida Lajin? Paida is the slapping, Lajin is the stretching. And he shared a beautiful saying in ancient China: if you can stretch, permanently stretch, your ligaments or your tendons 1 inch, prolong your life 10 years. Okay, so knowing how to yield is strength. There's physical benefits to that, but it's mental as well. Okay, it's knowing how, like when water comes to something, it will go around it. There's always a way. There's always a way to get through your challenges. But knowing how to yield, it doesn't mean you always have to take the easy road, but it's being open enough to see the full picture. Okay, use your own light to return to the source of light. Okay, it's like a candle light, and it finds its way in the dark back to the sun. My best way I can explain it to my understanding. This is called practicing eternity. Okay, it's like one raindrop finding its way back to the ocean. Does anyone want to share anything on that chapter? There's a lot in that. These chapters, we could really spend an hour on each one. I'm just trying to get through them. And if we'd have done this a year ago, every insight that I'm sharing on this text would have been completely different. Okay, are we going for time? Last one then. Chapter 53, the great way is easy, yet people prefer the side paths. Be aware when things are out of balance. Stay centered within the Tao. When rich speculators prosper, while farmers lose their land. When government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures. When the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible, while the poor have nowhere to turn. All this is robbery and chaos. This is not in keeping with the Tao. That is a drop the mic chapter. The great way is easy. Dao Judge, and the big way is simple. Okay, but people prefer the side paths. I'm going to share Chuangzu's teaching, right? Chuangzu really emphasized this, and I've shared this with people, and it's really ruffled people. Okay, it's really pissed people off because I shared it with a mate once, and he was like, "No, that's not how it works in nature, because we need to push through challenges, and we need to be tested and all the rest of it." Right? I'm not arguing with that. You might think the same way, but Chuangzu said, "How do you know you're on the right path? Because it's easy. The right way is easy." Remember, Chuangzu is the guy who emphasized the usefulness of uselessness. You should read Chuangzu's inner chapters. Chuangzu inner chapters, also known as the Zhuangzi. Okay, if you remind me, I'll put them in the chat on Messenger. So he says, how do you know you're on the right path? Because it's easy. Okay. The ego is what loves challenges. The ego is what loves the hard path. Okay. So, and I love that. I've got to be honest with you. I love that. How do you know you're on the right path? Because it's easy. Okay. Be aware when things are out of balance. Stay centered within the Tao. Where's the Dow point in the body? Ming Men point. Okay. This acupuncture point here is the heaven point in the body. The acupuncture point between the genitals and the anus, Mother Earth point. The Ming Men point directly behind the navel. Okay. Acupuncture point on the back part of the body, on the skin. Dow point. The Dow, Ming Men means, what is it? Ming Men means something gate, life gate or source gate or something like that. So this is Tao in the body. So remember that if life feels like it's out of hand, you can breathe into this point. Put your awareness on this point. It's the Dow point in the body. Stay centered within the Tao. Or the heart, because the heart, that's the Tao point, but your Yuan Shen in the Lingong, okay? But we can go into that. We've already gone over that, but we can go into that again. So I think right now he's pointing to where we are, right, where humanity is right now. When the rich speculators prosper while farmers lose their land, happening now. When government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures, happening now. In fact, the governments are spending money weaponizing cures. When the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible, while the poor have nowhere to turn, all this is robbery and chaos. It is not in keeping with the Tao. Does anyone want to share anything on that? Good. Okay. So we're going to do love, peace, harmony tonight. I'm going to share a few things about love, peace, harmony before we do that I don't really share all the time because it's a big jump for people. It might be a big jump for you guys. That's totally fine. But when you get it, okay, when you get it, it's going to enhance your practice. It's pretty mind blowing. Okay. So a few people on the line might not understand like Master Shah's journey. Okay. So he found Master Guo. He stayed with Master Guo for 12 years before Master Guo released his healing secrets. And Master Guo came up with Junong medicine, okay, body space medicine. And he traveled the world. Forgive me for keep rubbing my neck, but I've been bit a few times by mozzies. We've had painters in today and they've had the doors open all day. And there's a lot of mozzies. I've been bit, which is all good. He then traveled the world, Canada and America, teaching self-healing practices, one hand near, one hand far practice. Very simple, logical, Da Dao Jia, big ways, extremely simple practices. So we'll do it now, right? So you go like this, put your hands like that, just barely touching. And see if you feel any energy or heat in your hands. Okay, our hands emit energy. Now, if you bring them further apart, can you feel that energy? It's not as much, no. Because this is creating a high density field. This is creating a low density field. Okay, this is, okay. High density flows to low density, always. Okay, so if you could see the energy my hands is emitting, right? Because it's high density there, it would be flowing out the top, out the bottom, and out the sides, because high density flows to low density. So 85 to 90% of illnesses that humanity face is too much energy in an area. Too much energy in the physical body can manifest as a tumor. It could manifest as inflammation. 10 to 15% is not enough energy. Things like Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's is not enough energy in the brain, right? So you want to research a bit more on this. It's Soul, Mind, Body Medicine, one of Master Shah's first and fundamental foundational books, beautiful book. So one hand near, one hand far is, let's say you have a headache. A headache is too much energy, accumulation of energy. So we would use the 4 power techniques. Dear soul, to say hello. Dear soul, mind, body of my head, for example, you have the power to heal yourself. I love you, do a good job, thank you. Okay, so you're invoking it. Dear soul, mind, body of my head, you give love, I love you. You have the power to heal yourself. You give it like an affirmation. Do a good job. Okay, you're given an order, not in a bad way, but in a supportive way. You can do it. Thank you. Give appreciation. 5 steps. So simple. Then, dear soul and body of the mantra, in this case, it would be E Jo, because E vibrates the head. I think it's number 11 or number 1, or both possibly. Jo is number 9, vibrates the lower abdomen, the lower dantian. You can have, and you cannot have enough energy in your foundation. So what you would do is, body power, if you had a headache here, let's say, you point your hand here and you're creating a high density field. And then I'll just show you like this. You would create a hand, pointing where this finger, when you clench your fist, this middle finger touches here. There's an acupuncture point you emit energy from. So you would cup your hands and put it away from the body, about 11 inches. So you now have a high density field and a low density field. So you would say, dear the mantra Ijo, please disperse the energy from my head and take it to my lower dantian. You would, mind power, you would see light. You would call the divine, your spiritual fathers and mothers for the blessing. See light coming in and washing away excess energy here in the high density field, carrying it to the low density field in the lower abdomen. And you would chant E-Jo, E-Jo, E-Jo. E vibrates the head, Jo vibrates the lower abdomen. And this is a real simple self-healing practice. You can do it for the shoulder. If you have things like Alzheimer's, you can build the foundation first. So accumulate a lot of energy from the lower foundational energy centers. And then you can do a reverse. So you can do a high density field here and a low density field here. And you could chant Jo-E, Jo-E, the other way, okay? And you can actually nourish the brain. So the reason I'm sharing that is Master Sha was traveling, sharing that wisdom and other stuff, but mainly self-healing techniques. He was teaching so many people around America. When he was, I think he was at the Land of Medicine Buddha, I think it was. And I know people have spoke to people who were there, right? And he's in the middle of teaching and he just bows down on the floor 108 times. And he says to everyone in the audience, please, I need some time. So everyone in the audience didn't know what was going on. And he shares this experience in his early books, in the beginning of his early books. Lao Chenya, the divine, came, okay? And the divine said, Jigang, basically, he gave a law, the law of universal service, okay? So he basically gave the karma law. He said, if you serve a little bit, you will gain little benefits. If you serve unconditionally, you'll receive unconditional benefits. If you hate and harm a little bit, you'll receive little lessons. If you hate and harm on a huge scale, you'll experience incredible challenges and lessons, okay? And then Master Sha bowed down again for that because he was so grateful. And then he left. And then he came back again, I think it was 3 weeks later, again when he was teaching, and chose him to be a divine channel and servant, to serve Lao Chenya's divine mission, okay? So all of Master Sha's books are with soul communication. He literally will get in a room with his assistant, and for 6, 7, 11, how many hours it takes, sometimes right through the night, he will just get in flow and he will just communicate and speak and his assistants will write it out. That's how he always wrote his books. Okay. Now, the reason I'm sharing this story with you is I have a little bit of a foundation with Master Sha. He got to a point where the divine was always with him. Okay. Always in communication with Lao Chenya. And he shared some really cool stories, really funny stories of how it is in heaven. I've just watched the 2012 Monkey King movie from China. Now, if you want to look it up, because there's been so many Monkey Kings made, it's the one where Donnie Yen plays the Monkey King. Okay, it's quite hard to find. But there's a lot of saints in there. There's like Niwan Yan Yang, there's Ah Lang, there's the Monkey King, there's the Jade Emperor, all these sages, Guanyins in there. It's a cool story. But I'm sharing it because Master Sha said there's a spiritual world, but Lao Chenya is the grandfather, the great grandfather of heaven. Okay, when Lao Chenya comes, all saints are serving God, serving Lao Chenya. Okay, so when Master Sha once was with his students after this it had happened, one of his students said, "Do you think that the divine can give us a song?" And Master Sha said, "I'll ask." So he asked. He received, he bowed down, he basically received to his spiritual channels, lula lula li, lula lula li, lula li luli lula, lula li lula, lula li lula. And then he said, "Can I have a translation?" So that then translates to Chinese. Why Wushin Huling, why Chuan Rung Lei, Wan Ling Rung Mu Shishin, Shanghai Pingan Hershi, Shanghai Pingan Hershi. Then he translated to English. Then he said to Lao Chenya, the divine, he said, "Can I have a melody?" He said, "Lula, lula, li, lula, lula, la, li, lula, lula, li, lula, lula, li, lula, lula, li, lula." Okay, so this mantra, I've done videos on it before. I'm sure some of you have seen it. Carries the essence of the spiritual path. If God was to create a song, it's love, peace, harmony. He did create, the Lao Chenya did create this song. Master Sha, as he's gone through his upliftment journey, his own enlightenment journey, constantly been uplifting this song. This song has constantly been getting uplifted by the divine and the Tao, constantly. Now, this is the thing which is so powerful. The divine and Tao have transmitted, remember, however way you want to look at this holographic universe, all a simulated universe, you know, back when Master Sha was first in contact with, when the divine came to him, the divine said, "When you offer healing, I'll do the job." Master Sha said, how's that going to work? The divine said, "I'm going to give," and he does a demo with a guy called Walter. It's in the beginning of the books, but basically, say you have a kidney. Back then, it was called soul software. So think about that. And in the conversation he has with the divine, he says, "Do you understand software?" And Master Sha says, "I understand accounting software, but I'm not really up on technology." And he said, Lao Chenya said, "When you offer healing, I will give," like, for example, Walter had liver cancer, I think it was. He gave a new liver, a soul software, a karma-free liver soul to his soul. And he had to chant a mantra to turn it on. Okay. Now, he didn't speak directly, and I've never heard him really address it, but my understanding, when you think about coming in, and this is my understanding, I'm not putting words in my teacher's mouth, so yeah, just bear with me. When you look at a disc, a computer game, let's say, use the analogy of a computer game. You get a computer game on a disc. If you put that into the computer and it comes up on the screen, okay, if you're a character in the game and you're a scientist and you're trying to find the building blocks and fabric of your reality. You can't find them because you are information on the disk, right? What are our scientists doing? The scientists who are genuinely trying to find through quantum mechanics and all the rest of it, the smaller they go, the more they can't find anything. So who's observing the game though? Who's playing the game? Okay, there's a being, an observer, and then there's an experience on the game. Now we come in, let's say, with our disc has a karmic coding for what we're meant to experience or whatever. But as we go, this is Divine Transformation, Master Sha's red book. He basically says we have a karmic path. Let's say I'm meant to die when I was 35 or whatever it was in a car crash, blah, blah, blah. We can create more harm and change that life path and bring our death forward. Or we can do more benevolent things, purify, change our karmic coding. I'm using the word coding because of the analogy I've just given, and extend our life. Okay. So, Master Sha has said that the divine and Tao, just go back to the point, saves me going all over the place. They have downloaded a love, peace, harmony, a spiritual transmission to Yawning. Okay. What's that mean? That means that if you have a relationship with your kids, with me, with everyone on the line, with humanity, your relationship has a love, peace, harmony treasure transmission. Okay. Your bed has one. Your negative memory from when you were 6 years of age has one, even though it's in the past. Your interview tomorrow that hasn't happened yet has one. Yawning has this transmission. Every human being, every cell in the body has a love, peace, harmony transmission. So when we sing love, peace, harmony, if we say first, dear Yawling's love, peace, harmony treasures, please turn on, and then invite all souls to chant with us. It's an invitation because we can't order souls to do it. We can't say, all Yawling, meditate with me now. You can't do that. Okay. There's spiritual courtesy involved. There's spiritual hierarchy. You can't order a soul around that's higher than you. And we don't know who's higher than us, but we can invite them and we can turn their treasures on. So when you say, dear Yawling's love, peace, harmony treasures, please turn on, your 10-minute, 20-minute, half an hour, 1 hour, 10-hour practice is very powerful because you are turning on a reality that exists, which is of love, peace, and harmony. Okay. You are turning on a divine and Tao conscious spiritual information, energy, and matter transmission in everything that exists when you chant. And that is very powerful, but it takes a lot of, so it might be too much for people. It might be too much for some people on the line. If it is, just drop it. Okay, just drop it. Does anyone have any questions on it before we sing Love, Peace, Harmony? But just, I'm sharing this as a foundation because Love, Peace, Harmony, when we finish this text, if you guys are keen to join every week, we can give a little teaching on anything you want. You can ask any questions, but I was hoping that we could continue with 1 hour's chant a week as a selfless contribution with the calligraphies to purify our karmic debt and to save all beings. This is the key to uplifting humanity's consciousness. I was in my men's group, the men's group I go to last Thursday, and someone was talking about some of the dark practices that go on in the world and how someone was saying that we can psychically go in there and do this, that, and the other. And I said, if you're doing that, with all due respect, I'm out. I said, that is not where I suggest we go. If you want to end those practices, which we all do, we raise human consciousness. It's as simple as that. And Love, Peace, Harmony. This is why we dedicated 2.5 years of our life to traveling around trying to share this message. I didn't share what I've just shared with you guys. I shared with it a different way. If you've seen the presentation, you'll understand. Designed it for skeptics. But to chant this for Yawning is the highest practice, guys. Is there any questions? I'm sure you've got questions on that.
When were you thinking of doing this, Nick?
Probably when we finish this book. So we're up to chapter 52. I think there's only 81 chapters.
Yeah, I'm in. I just, so we'd do that instead of going through the chapters. We'd just come on and sing Love, Peace, Harmony.
Yeah, we just move this Zoom call to a Love, Peace, Harmony session. And if you guys are keen to do a different night of the week, I'm more than happy to do that. I'm going to try and get a physical group in the area. That's what I'm looking for spaces at the moment. But if you guys said, oh, look, why don't we just lock in Friday nights or Thursday nights or whatever, I'm cool with that. Definitely, we can do this on a Monday and do that on a Thursday. And then when we finish this text, we can bring it back to the Monday. I'll work with you guys. Okay. So let's do a practice. Let's chant Love, Peace, Harmony. We talk about smudging homes, clearing the feng shui in houses. Love, Peace, Harmony. I promise you. Okay. I'll share another quick story before we get into it. Inanimate things can carry darkness. Okay. There was a student of Master Sha who was given a gift, and it was like an African mask, like one of those wooden African masks. And she just got a real feeling that it was not good to open, right? So she had it in a box, and one of it, Peter Hadoba, Dr. Peter, the neurosurgeon, he came to Sydney, and this student took the box to Peter, and he's got very open spiritual channels. And Peter said, just don't open that. And she said, well, I got it as a gift, and you know, what should I do with it? And he said, just don't open it. Okay, that's the key. So it's quite high level, blah 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 blah. So there's many different suggestions. But when Francisco come over, it was a lovely guy, probably Master Sha's top student. He just gave the best guidance. He said, put it somewhere in a room where no one goes, and play Love, Peace, Harmony next to it, because one of two things is going to happen. Either the frequency is going to be too high and it's going to leave, okay, or it's going to transform to light. It's going to progress and to the light. Either way, that's how you deal with it. So that's the power of Love, Peace, Harmony. Love, Peace, Harmony is, you know, even my son, we moved into a place in Sydney years ago when Bo was little, Bo was very open, third eye. And he come up to me, he said, Dad, there's a big monster under the house. It's like there's like a real damp area down the bottom of the house. Didn't feel too good in there. I said, that's okay, son. So I went down there and I did an invocation. I said, I'm not ordering anyone to leave, not doing it. Don't do any of that. I just, you know, gave my love, just communicated, called in higher beings if it's appropriate. Me and my family want to serve while we're here. We're not here to upset anyone, blah, 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 blah. I played Love, Peace, Harmony under the house. And I did my forgiveness practice, chanted, and it cleared. Okay. This is literally and you can explain it logically. Okay. We can explain it scientifically with the law of resonance and all the rest of it. So I'm going to hold a small calligraphy, which has been blessed by Master Sha, and we'll invoke the calligraphies from upstairs. And I invite everybody to put one hand on your heart, one hand on your lower abdomen. And settle your breathing. And what we'll do is, when we play Love, Peace, Harmony, we'll sing a few rounds of it. Sing out loud if you want. Singing out loud, you change your physical being into an instrument that can offer another layer of service out into creation. Okay, but if you want to chant silently, that's okay. The intention's still there. But for this practice, what we're going to do is we're going to do an invocation. And what we're going to do is we're going to surrender to what comes into our awareness. If you want to consciously visualize, you can visualize chanting love, peace, harmony for all humanity, giving our love to all humanity, to ourselves, to our families, our ancestors, to the oceans. But when I say surrender, allow anything to come to your mind. You have a situation from years ago come into your mind, sing love, peace, harmony to it. See it flooded with light. See its love, peace, harmony treasures turned on. If you think about something that's happening in the rainforests getting cut down, or the oceans, there's something you want to sing to specifically, or something just comes into your awareness, we chant for that, okay? But fundamentally, we're chanting for all beings. So, dear divine and Tao soul song, love, peace, harmony. We love, honor, and appreciate you. They are all souls connected to the love, peace, harmony movement and the divine soul song, love, peace, harmony. Remember, Yawning serve Lao Chenya. They're all servants of God. This is God's mantra. When we chant this is the power of this mantra, okay? So dear Yawning, all enlightened beings, and dear Wanling, all beings in every layer, from the highest to the lowest, may we give our love and contribution to all beings. We invite Wanling to practice with us, to align with love, peace, harmony, and to purify our negative Shen Qi Jing to positive Shen Qi Jing. Dear any darkness in our body, okay, any karma we've created, we love you, please forgive us. We invite you to chant love, peace, harmony with us so that we can clear our karma. We forgive all beings that's ever hurt us. Remember, you do a universal service, you chant for all beings, you're one being chanting for all beings. This is the biggest service we can do. If we invite those that we have karma with, that we've hurt and has hurt us, to chant with us, we're giving them an opportunity to heal their karma. This is the fastest way to transform ourselves, our families, our communities, and the world. You're all love, peace, harmony treasures. Download it to Wanling. Please turn on. We are so grateful. I'm going to mute myself and play the mantra.
I can't hear it, Nick.
Yeah, I know what I've done. Sorry, I didn't screen share. Thank you, Julie.
平安和谐，相爱平安和谐。噜啦噜啦哩，噜啦噜啦啦哩，噜啦噜啦哩，噜啦，噜啦哩噜啦，噜啦哩噜啦。I love my heart and soul. I love all humanity. Join hearts and souls together. Love, peace, and harmony. Love, peace, and harmony.
Now remember, every soul of our being has a love, peace, harmony treasure. Every soul of every organ, every system, every cell. So this last round, let's sing one more round. See your body filled with light and filled with love, peace, and harmony.
Join hearts and souls together. Love, peace, and harmony. Love, peace, and harmony.
Just feel the presence and the stillness that the frequency, vibration, message, energy, and matter of the mantra is created. Ten years after Master Shah received that song, Lao Chenya, the divine, released what happens in the body when you chant Lula, Lula, Li, that soul language. It builds energy in the Jung area, builds longevity, helps build your Jindan. Breathe in this stillness which carries love, peace, and harmony. Feel grateful. Anyone that came into your awareness that you chanted for and chanted with, see them at peace. This peace, relaxation, stillness is healing. I'll share another cool story while we're in this state, because I think these early stories of Master Sha's journey are just enjoyable. Okay. Master Sha has a composer that composes all the music to all of his songs. Love, Peace, Harmony is his first song that he received. But he heard a piece of music. I'm pretty sure it was a Om Mani Padme Hum mantra by a Chinese composer, and it really moved Master Sha. And Master Sha reached out to him. I'm pretty sure, please, I'm sorry if I've got it wrong, but I think his name's Chan, something Chan, Master Chan. And he's won multiple awards in China. He's an amazing musician and composer. And Master Sha reached out to him and said that you really touched me with that piece of music, and I'd be very grateful if you could do the music as I need you, the music to my mantras. And he's a very humble man. He's a beautiful man, this composer, and he agreed to it. And he said, how will you send me the lyrics? And Master Sha said, no. Master Sha said, I'm going to give you a blessing, a download, a divine download for composing whatever song I'm working on. And the composer said, and then what? What do I do? He said, nothing, just let it come to you when it comes to you. And he got contacted by the composer a few days later. And the composer said, I don't know whether he was asleep or whatever he was doing. He just said, boom. It just came to him, the whole piece of music. And he composed it and sent it to Master Sha. And that's how he composes all the music to Master Sha's mantras. He gets a blessing and he receives the music, and that's the music for the mantra. So another beautiful, cool stories. I love them stories. But just tapping into the body, feel the body, feel relaxed. You might not feel relaxed. Some, it might be energy shifting. You might feel a bit of pain. You might feel a bit of agitation. That's all good. If anything I've said doesn't resonate, just no attachments. And please feel free to ask any questions. We'll close this practice by saying how, thank you, thank you, thank you, love you, love you, love you. You give love to all the soul world, all beings that we practiced for and chanted with us. And we say gong song, gong song, gong song. It means respectfully return. Again, spiritual courtesy. You don't have to do this. But if we bow down, okay, bow down is just it's humble. It shows appreciation to the soul world. And Master Sha always says, when you bow down, you get blessed by heaven. But that's in your own time. It might not resonate with you at all. And if it doesn't resonate with you, then a bow down is a waste of time. There's another mosquito. If you're thinking this is a waste of time not doing this, then there's no point in doing it, okay? You bow down with gratitude in your heart if you ever feel like doing it. So whenever I finish one of these calls, I'll always bow down. So yeah, I'll leave it open to you guys. You can either call it a night, or you can ask any questions. If you guys want me to stop the recording, some of your questions might save people on the recording. If you want me to stop the recording, just let me know.
Nick,
Yep.
through the mantra, I feel like I let go of the overwhelm I've been feeling and became aware of how much I'd been thinking about how overwhelmed I was. So it's like I've let go of the thinking and that feeling. Thank you so much for playing that tonight. Went very deep. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Obviously, all thank yous go to the tools we've been given. And honestly, you know, I talk so much in these sessions. So when we get past the Tao Te Ching, it's all in the practice. Honestly, when we chant together for an hour, and I suggest definitely call friends and family. Even if they don't want to sing along or meditate with us, they can always just put their laptop on, make themselves comfortable, and just go sleep. Okay, and we'll offer everyone a blessing. It will be like a healing hour. The insight, the healing is in the practice. Okay, so that's something to look forward to. Anyone else want to share anything?
I was yawning all the way through it. I couldn't stop yawning and salivating. So I don't know what that was. I've stopped yawning now, and I don't normally yawn when I put it on, but yeah, it was happening.
Good. Yawning is energy moving. Saliva is the key. Chenyi Jinshui, okay? It's the key in Taoism, is saliva. If you're getting saliva off chanting the mantra, that is very important. You got to swallow that. You see it as golden light, swallow it down into your lower dantian. So congratulations.
Thanks.
It means you're getting blessed. I'm dead serious. Like every New Year's Eve, Master Shah does a New Year's Eve blessing, and he'll always give like a gem for the next year, right? So it might be the importance of blessing your food, for example, right? One year, can't remember what it was, I think it was like 2014 or something. He said the gem for this year is saliva. Don't waste saliva and accumulate your saliva during practice. So you've been blessed. So we say thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Can I just ask, because I hum during the first bit where they're doing the Chinese, do we have the words to that? Because I'd like to sing along, but I can't make out what the words are.
Yeah, actually in the mantra, it's pronounced slightly different from when the choir is singing it to when Master Shah is singing it, but I'll send it through to you. I think they just say Shen in line 2, but it's like sort of like a chuan you pronounce it like a chuan. Runlay in Chinese, but that's all good. I'll get them and I'll send them to the group chat on Messenger.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
What about yawning with lots of tears from the yawns?
Even better.
That always happens to me. So yes, I was getting that as well.
Yeah, good on you. Yeah, it's all blockages moving fundamentally. It's blockages moving. Yawning in other traditions. In fact, Fletcher just did a breath work practice, and I think on one of the things was forced yawning to clear blockages. Another, it's like a heart tumor practice that my friend did. They used to yawn to pass blockages out. But anything like that is always good. It means something's happening. Like I people always laugh at this, and it's genuine. Like I used to get more inspired about the spiritual journey based off my challenges. Like I used to, whenever I was going to a workshop or something, I'd just be so bamboozled by how challenges used to just pop up. Like, I remember Danielle parked the car outside of like an Indian restaurant or something. She went in, she came out, the car was gone. And then we found out, Danielle thought it had been stolen, but it had actually been taken by like a tow truck and parked around a corner, and they fine you like $200 or something. I found out where it was. I jumped on my bike, pedals down to get the card, gets a flat tire, nearly comes flying off the bike. It's just like all these things happening, and that used to just fascinate me. It used to make me laugh. I used to just think, this is like, you can't make this, you can't fake this stuff. So that everything can be a blessing. Even if you're getting agitated, I always think to myself, sometimes, you know, love, peace, harmony can really agitate people. It can agitate their karma, and they just can't listen to it. And I wouldn't force listening to it. You can definitely turn it off and then, you know, put it on again. But that to me is all good. I just always think of it as things are happening. Okay, things are moving. So when you're yawning, when you're stretching, when you feel knocked out, you know, sometimes when we did the Darby, when we did the Darby Shui, and we did the chant of the Darby Zhou 49 times for the water, Danielle was singing it with me slow, and I start sort of hearing Danielle just talking gibberish, and I turned around and she was just like, just gone, just out. So, you know, anything can happen. You get a lot of energy, you get emotional, it's all good. Anything else, or should we close for the night?
Well, thank you very much for that explanation. That was, yeah, really enlightened things for me.
Thank you for sharing. I always say sharing and questions always lead the teachings. So, you know, there's so many cool stories and experiences. I love sharing. That's why I just talk too much. I talk so much, but I always think, you know, I love stories. I love it when other people are sharing stories. So if I can share some stories and you like them, I'll share them. But questions pull those stories out.
I really, really love stories.
Yeah, nice.
Nick,
Yeah.
I've got a couple of minutes story if people want to hear it, but after the recording goes off.
Go on, I'll stop the recording now.
Thank you.